Oregon, Lake Oswego. Lake Oswego is, for frame of reference, is like the suburb right outside of Portland. When Kevin Love lived in Portland, he lived in Lake Oswego. He's from Oregon. When he started to get a little bit of money, that's where he lived, was Lake Oswego, right? So 57-year-old Michael Maiden has now been charged because of what happened at a sleepover at his house. I thought this was going to be a lot about, well, they left the liquor cabinet open, or maybe this was one of those dads who's like, I'm a cool dad, I let people drink and do drugs in my house, but that's not what happened here at all. Listen to this. On Saturday, this back in August, Lake Oswego police in Oregon were notified that 3 different 12-year-old girls were being treated at Randall Children's Hospital after reporting they had been exposed to an unknown. His client said, we hope that people will reserve judgment until all the facts and circumstances are known. That's what a defense attorney is supposed to say. So according to the probable cause affidavit, Maiden's daughter had 3 of her friends over for a spa night and sleepover in the basement, though, is giving all 4 girls mango smoothies and providing them with specific colored reusable straws to distinguish their own drink. All right, here, you guys are all getting the same thing. Darla, you have the pink straw. Monica, you have the green one, right? Kind of know how it goes. As of right there, I don't see anything out of all that out of the ordinary. Whose drink is it? All right, I'll make it easy for you guys to decide. I think if you're a decent parent, good parent, you think to yourself, okay, yeah, I would have done that. All right, I'm just thinking ahead. If you're a parent who's up to something, you're also thinking like, oh, what a good way for me to make sure my daughter's not affected. So apparently, he was allegedly adamant that the girls drink out of their own cups and insisted that they did drink them. With one girl saying the smoothies had tiny white chunks throughout and then sprinkled on top as well. One of the kids reported feeling woozy, hot, and clumsy after the smoothie, saying she went into a thick, deep sleep. Another girl, however, didn't like the smoothie, barely drank any, then told police Maiden came downstairs more than once during the night and tried to separate 2 of the girls from each other as they slept. Oh, God. Like, this is just getting worse and worse. She claimed that she could feel him watching her by his presence as she kept her eyes shut. And if you're pretending to sleep, and we've all done it, right? Honey, did you take this out? I'm pretending I'm sleeping right now, right? Like, everybody's kind of done that. You can kind of tell when somebody's in the room. You can feel somebody lurking over you. For sure you could. I have no problem believing that at all. So the one girl barely drank any of it. She claimed she could feel him watching her by his presence as she kept her eyes shut, pretending to be sleeping. Before saying he began doing tests to make sure we weren't awake. According to her, he put his finger under his nose as to see if she was soundly asleep. Before then, he waved his hand in front of her face. I don't know about the what, to make sure she was breathing. I don't know about that. I'm not looking to creep on a 12-year-old girl, so I have no idea what the hell that would be about. When he left the room, the girls began frantically texting her mother. Please pick me up. I had a family emergency. I don't feel safe, she allegedly messaged her mom around 1:45 in the morning. Which, how fast did that mom end up getting to the house after that? You get that text message from your daughter at some weirdo's house, 1:45, I don't feel right, come get me? Like, oh my God. I might not respond, but please come get me, crying emoji. Please, please, please pick me up. Please, in all caps. She eventually reached a family friend who picked her up. The girl's mother then notified the parents of the other girls who showed up at Maiden's home around. Maybe you better hope I don't have that gun on my waist. Because, dude, things are going to get heated at that point. I'm kicking in that door and I'm coming to take my kid. The balls on this. I mean, how many different ways come on in, come take your daughters, come take them home. But at the end of the day, dude, you know you're guilty, and that's why you don't want to lose. Diazepam, which are typically used to treat anxiety or insomnia. I can't even believe I have to tell you that 65% of the country is on some kind of prescription pill every minute of every day. I'm imagining most of you are on some benzos, but they would include Valium, Xanax, Ativan, and Klonopin. Klonopin, sorry. I can tell you I have abused every single one of those drugs. I've abused them all. Absolutely. I have taken cash out of my pocket and have purchased all of those things at Shady Days. So plenty of them are used for other purposes than what they're being literally passed out like they're absolutely crazy in this country. People just kind of want to stick their head in the sand and deny it. It's all right, that'll rear its ugly head in a few years, then maybe we'll talk about it a touch. But there's a little bit of an issue there. And all three girls texted their mother in the middle of the night. And she wanted to test to make sure that they, were those and kind of checking. He was lurking over them. I don't imagine you drug 3 different 12-year-old girls unless you have the intention of victimizing them sexually. Or at least, well, I was going to say at bare minimum taking photos of them, but I would file that under victimizing a child sexually. Absolutely, I would. I don't see a whole lot of separation there in that. If you look nice in that dress as sexual harassment in the workplace, then lurking over a 12-year-old girl who you've given drugs to is sexual assault. Like, that's just where I'm going to come down on it, And if it were my 12-year-old girl or yours, how are we seeing it then? Now, I'm saying that as if anybody's arguing with me, and I don't believe most of you would be. I really don't. Tell me. Post 330-450-7625, the text message. That's how you do that. There's also the social medias, These Things Great Show. This stuff is scary. I've talked about it. Having been victimized by a neighbor. My parents were under the impression, street's fine. That must be fine. We live here. Can't be that bad. We live here. That's kind of how we approach stuff, right? Kind of is. When something happens, you realize, the street's no good. The city's no good. The state's no good. This world is no good. Kind of what we'll do, right? Once you're a victim of something, you're really aware of the fact that it's a problem. It's kind of how that works. But I've realized in my life, by being how many people have benefited. People tell me their story all the time, and I'm appreciative. And it's a lot to take. Sometimes I'll leave that situation. Man, I'm carrying that now, you know what I mean? But I've asked, I guess, or demanded, damn near, everybody carry my stuff as I just spit it out all day, right? And so I understand why people see me as a source of comfort for that, and I'm perfectly okay with it. But it is eye-opening. The amount of guys who have told me, women too, but guys who have told me, dude, their wife doesn't know, their best friend doesn't know, their parents don't know, nobody knows. I had a guy once tell me he had been victimized by a neighbor like I was. He's been in therapy for 15 years, and he's afraid to tell his therapist about it. He's he won't do that. He told me before he told the therapist. I was like, well, because I was like, man, it's not right for everybody, and it really does come down to the kind of therapists you have and who's good and who's not. There's good mechanics, there's bad ones. There's good morning hosts and bad ones. And there are plenty of good therapists, and there are, baby, let me just tell you, dude, that industry has been flooded, and I mean flooded, with the tarot card readers and the life coaches and all of that stuff, and, all that can be annoying, but if you find a good therapist, they are absolutely beneficial. And the guy said to me, he goes, well, I'm in, but I won't tell him. I was like, well, then that took me back. I was like, then what'd you go for? Right? You obviously understand that this is at the bedrock of some of your issues that are, rearing their ugly head in other areas of your life. That. This is the gymnasium for that. Going to see the therapist is the curling and bench pressing for your brain. I know people don't want to see it that way, but it is. That's what it is. Everybody just thinks, and myself included for the longest time, oh, I have a good beat on me. Well, the self-deceived are the most deceived, and I just said, bro, you got to get in there. You got to talk about that a little bit. You know what I mean, and open up. And I don't know if he's done that or not. I've lost touch with that person. They have not reached out all that recently. Another part of this story, by the way, Lake Oswego, Oregon, is where this happened. One of the nicer, by the way, suburbs of Portland. It just goes to show you, dude, stuff is everywhere. I got into this argument with this guy yesterday. He's like, Canton sucks, man. Quit being complacent and bad. Canton sucks. In the comment section at the repository, right? Because Keno just thinks he's, I don't know, a brainiac of some kind. that's going to alert me to the fact that Canton has some street crime in it. I was like, bro, he's like, well, when you're done with your safe little morning show, man, you go hide in Jackson or North Canton. Well, I live in the city proper, so that's the first part of your argument. That's absolutely asinine for you to assume who I am. And second, like, I'm never saying that the I'm written blah. That's not doing anything. Yelling out into the ether about a problem and doing absolutely nothing to fix it is the definition of complacency. You recognize there's an issue, doing nothing about it but commenting. That's complacency. Am I guilty of that too? Yes. Absolutely I am. But like, you know, I was like, because I was like, people who trash the city like this isn't a country problem. And people said, oh, so you want us bashing the country? I said, I don't want us bashing the country, but talking about the country, I'm okay with. Is there an issue in this country with some violence? Absolutely there is. For sure there is. You can't deny that. But pretending like Canton is that much worse than some other places, like, I'm not so sure that's true. I mean, look, Lake Oswego. My buddy lives in Lake Oswego right now. Right now. They spent $895,000, baby, on that house. Just under $1 million. And it's not, I mean, it's just